Hello everybody and welcome to the round 19 tips and predictions video for the AFL 2025 season. I'm your host, the Matt DJ, joined here by the lovely Uncle.
G'day, how are we all?
We're good. How are you?
Going all right? Yeah. Bit of carnage last weekend, so I'm not sure if I've fully recovered from the tipping last week, but...
No, we'll get on to that. That was
yeah.
not a good week for us, but particularly me. But first off, we're going to get into our ladder predictor situation. I think a lot has changed due to this past weekend, Uncle. Crows are now up to third with percentage over Geelong. Gold Coast moved up to fifth. Hawthorn barely hanging on in the eighth. GWS is now somewhat safe. Bulldogs are fighting for a home final there. Freo was also kind of in the mix now, so it's looking spicy after this past week, Uncle.
Yeah. It looks like it's between Hawthorn and Fremantle now, doesn't it, for that eighth position?
Yeah, I think what both of them are on 44 points, aren't they? Yeah, 44 points as it stands. I have Hawthorn winning 3 out of the last 6. Fremantle only winning 2, so it really does depend on what upsets could happen. I think Hawthorn have got a pretty tough road home to boost for a home final. I think you've got
sixth hardest. It's the hardest out of all the other teams in the 9.
Well, you've got Collingwood at the G, obviously. You've got Brisbane at the Gabba, and you've also got Adelaide.
Adelaide.
So, according to my ladder predictor, you've got the top 3 there, all at their ground. So it's going to be quite tough for you guys.
But the other 3 games are very winnable. So I can't remember what Freo's run is like though.
They're all 50-50 games. They've got West Coast and there's another, I can't remember exactly what it is, but they're all pretty 50-50 games. I think so they're quite tough too.
Yep.
Before we move on, if you do enjoy this video at any point, make sure to give us a like and subscribe. We are trying to boost the channel and we appreciate all your love and support. So yeah, if you could do that, that'd be great. Thank you. Moving on to last week's tips though. We started off with 99 for myself, 100 for yourself, but not great. Not great. I have it here. I got 4 for the week. You got 5. We got Brisbane for Thursday night over Carlton. Tick that off. And we both got all the Sunday games. So we got Melbourne, Sydney, and Port Adelaide. Tick those off. I didn't get a single tip right for either Friday or Saturday, and you just got the Fremantle one on Saturday night. So,
really?
Saturday
and even halfway through Sunday, the Eagles were in front, and
Saints were up, I think.
The Saints were in front, so it was looking like 2, maybe 3.
It was
quite amazing.
I did joke to Uncle, you could win the round with 3 tips this weekend. So.
Yeah.
Not a great weekend from us, but that brings your total to 105 and mine up to 103. So you've now got a 2-tip lead heading into the last month and a half of footy. So it could be quite tough for me to catch up here. I might have to throw some silly 50-50s out there.
So saying football, there's a long way to go yet. 6 games, I think. 6 or 5? 6 rounds left.
6 rounds including this one. We got to organise a trophy or something for the winner to have to boast for the next year. We can organise that during the off season. That's fine.
Yeah.
Moving on to the actual tips for the round though, starting off with Thursday night, 7:30 PM, Marvel Stadium, Essendon versus GWS. GWS for me, quite comfortably. I think Essendon have absolutely been riddled with injuries, and including Nick Martin from this past week as well. So I think it's going to be quite tough for Essendon to win another game. I think they'll be heavy underdogs, I think, for the rest of the season, given that the extent of their injury list, and it's now showing quite tough that even Richmond, who's also riddled themselves with injuries, are getting wins over them. So GWS for me, bad luck for Essendon.
Yeah, no, GWS as well. I think I read somewhere, it might have been on the AFL website, that they're going to make their 12th or 13th debutant this season. So sometimes when you make debutants a lot like that, it can be a good thing for in 3 years' time or 4 years' time. So they get to see who's on their list and how good they might be. So there might be a silver lining out of this year that they've had. But Jitterbus should win this. The home side, interestingly, has won the past 4 games, which is 2 each. So Essendon, the home side here, going by the history, they might win, but yeah, considering everything that's happened, GWS pretty comfortably. Another cracking Thursday night game.
Yeah, lovely. Always, I'm sure the AFL have really backing their decision to have Carlton and Essendon really be in the prime time slots for Thursday and Friday night footy to finish off the season. That's made quite a great stream for the past month.
Terrible. In terms of football teams, they've been like the Eagles this year, the AFL.
Yeah.
They're winless. Nothing they do is get in there, do it right.
No. And I think you're right with being able to debut a bunch of young people. I think we'll start to see the benefits of them and probably Richmond in 3 or 4 years' time. And even North Melbourne, because they've got a lot of young people on their list, so we could see that. On to the Friday night game, we have Brisbane versus the Bulldogs at the Gabba at 7:40. Personally, this past week, Brisbane showed they're going to be a top quality top 4 side for me. Bulldogs, again, struggling against an actual top 8 side. I was pleasantly surprised sitting on the wing and watching the Crows win the first 3 quarters. It felt not so much maybe comfortably, but I was pretty comfortable throughout the whole afternoon. We held a close to 20-point lead for a lot of it, and it was only really the last 5 to 10 minutes where Bulldogs kicked a few goals after we kind of stopped playing a little bit. I think our pressure dropped off a lot in the last quarter, and they snagged a few to make it closer than what I think it seemed. But really good game. I think Brisbane will definitely win here, especially at the Gabba, although their Gabba record this year isn't like what it was over previous years. But I think earlier this year, it was in the reverse of the fixture where it was Bulldogs versus Brisbane. I think Bulldogs had a massive lead at one point, so we'll see how that turns out, whether they can light that again. But I'm going to go Brisbane, I think, pretty easily.
Yeah, Brisbane for me as well. Despite their awful home record this year, the Bulldogs just can't seem to beat a team in the 8, can they? It's now become a bit of a millstone around their neck that even if they do make the finals, you can't see them winning a game in the finals. So they'll have little or no impact in the final series this year if they make it. Brisbane have won 6-2 at home against the Bulldogs since 2012. So Bulldogs, it is not a ground that they're overly good at. So confident here on Brisbane winning this one.
Yeah. We talk about the Bulldogs not being a top 8 side. Isn't that what's going to happen though if they do make finals? That's going to be their run. Their only the top 8 teams they're going to beat are in the finals, and they could win it. We have the Saturday games now. Hawthorn versus Port Adelaide at Tasmania. I think this is going to be one for me to stream. I think given the recent history between these two, it could be a bit spicy. But in Tasmania, I'm fully confident in the Hawks, especially after all the injuries that Port Adelaide have been going through, and now Horne-Francis out with a broken foot, so he'll be out for what I think. I didn't see the injury list that came out today, but I suspect he'll be out for the rest of the season. Hawthorn are looking quite good. Unfortunately, they didn't pull off the win this weekend against Fremantle, but I think that they'll be right at home in Tasmania against Port.
Yeah, we do have a good record down there. It's 3-1 against Port Adelaide as well down at UTAS. Port Adelaide do have a 25-17 head-to-head record against the Hawks, so they do tend to be a team that beats Hawthorn, and that's through Hawthorn's pretty strong era of teams, and Port just seem to show up and do well against Hawthorn. And we've seen that the last couple of years too, where Port Adelaide just win those games and win them well. They just must have an aggro factor that really grates on Hawthorn, and they seem to get the job done. And Rosee's in doubt as well. Yeah. So they're pretty decimated, the Port. Hopefully Hawthorn come out, as a Hawthorn fan, hopefully they come out and make a bit of a statement, not only because it's Port Adelaide, but also in the scheme of things with the finals, as we've discussed. A nice 10 to 12 goal win would just make everyone sit up and take notice again of Hawthorn as a finals chance. So yeah, Hawthorn for me.
would give you the a good percentage boost come finals time if you guys are tied with points on anyone, or give you that edge over Fremantle if you do end up tied on points too.
And ordinarily, no, but just because of all their injuries that they've got, I think we're going to match up pretty well on them. So
yeah, I mean, well, I think no Radigalia, so they really only got Alia. Last week he was playing on one leg, so see how he pulls up. But your tools like your Chol, your Kalshadir, Gunston. I don't know if Mitch Lewis will be around.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they rest Gunston and bring in Lewis just to give him a run in the top side to see how he goes. Yeah. And then from there, they'll make a decision on how they structure their forward line going into the finals.
Yeah, I think that's a decent idea, especially since how injury-riddled Port Adelaide are. You can kind of take a risk on it. After that, we have Sydney versus North Melbourne at the SCG, 4:15 p.m. Sydney, for me, they are looking really in form. They've won their last couple. They look really good. North Melbourne, across the weekend, were not. I thought they were mostly okay, and then Melbourne kind of just kicked away, sort of late there. So got to go with Sydney. I think it's going to be quite tough for North Melbourne to be able to travel to the SCG and put up any fighting chance. I think Sydney will be pretty confident and got their tails up.
Yeah, Sydney, the last 3 or 4 weeks they've been very competitive. In a way, I'm glad they're not going to make finals because they could do some real damage. So if Hawthorn make it, then Sydney not being there is a good thing, I think. But you're right, North Melbourne, they play well until they get headed or, a few goals behind, and then they just sort of drop their bundles, the right word, but they just lose their way a bit if they get headed. They're competitive until they get 2 or 3 goals behind. Sydney, I think, should win this, pretty easily. 7-3 record at the SCG as well, since 2008. So
that's not too bad.
Sydney for mine.
Good. For the night games, we got the double header again. I don't know if I'll be streaming based off what games we get in this Saturday night, but definitely will be streaming the Hawthorn Port Adelaide. I'd much prefer Hawthorn Port Adelaide in these night slots because we have Carlton versus Melbourne. For first off, Melbourne, for me, I just can't trust Carlton, and Melbourne have some pretty good. Melksham's hit some good form. So has Bailey Fritsch as well, and the likes of, I think Petrarca had a fantastic game this weekend. Gawn destroyed Sherry, which is very surprising. I think usually there would be a pretty good matchup, but Gawn just went to town on him. So I think they've got some big players starting to really stand up Melbourne. Unfortunately, they can't make finals. Well, I still mathematically can, but they're not going to. But I think that they should probably put a number on Carlton, given their down performance so far to finish off the season.
Well, I've written Yawnfest in my notes. Not a game that I'll be overly looking forward to watching this game. Carlton have won the last 3, and Melbourne did win the 3 prior to that. So I'm going to go a bit of an upset. I don't know why. I've just got a feeling about Carlton this week. Yeah, you're right, though. You don't know. I can't trust Melbourne in the same way you can't trust Carlton. I don't know. I don't trust Carlton either. I just don't trust either of these teams. I think you could toss a coin 10 times and it'd probably come up 5-all. So I've got no idea who's going to win. But I'm going to go with Carlton for no reason other than I'll just try and get one more in front of you.
At the same time, but not really, we've got West Coast versus Richmond, which now this one's a snooze fest, I think. I'm going to go with West Coast just purely for home field advantage. I think Richmond will be quite up after their win, but I actually think West Coast have been somewhat competitive over the last few weeks for a good half or 3/4 of a game. And I feel like that'll be enough to really put the difference between them and Richmond. I think if Wiggles show up for a half or 3/4 of footy, I think that they will be a better team than what Richmond are. So going to go with them. Noah Bolter won't be there, obviously. So just hard to see anyone really standing up for Richmond. Tumi Taranto's going to have to really put the team on his back again this week. But yeah, West Coast for me, I think.
Yeah, West Coast as well. Everything you've said, I totally agree with. They've looked okay in the past month without winning. Give themselves a good chance to win against Port, but then got overrun. Interesting, the home side, whichever the home side is between these two, have won, it's 12-2 records since 2016. So on that basis alone, I'm going to go with West Coast as the home side and continuing that record.
Sunday games now. We finally got a good Sunday. And this one might be the one where I stream Siren to Siren. I was going to do this past weekend, but I really woke up Sunday and looked at this fixture and thought, nah. I cannot be bothered watching all three of these games.
It's a 10-hour day here, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, and it kind of worked out that I probably should have at least streamed the St Kilda Sydney game, because that one looked like quite a cracker.
Yeah, it was.
So, but we've got Geelong versus St Kilda here, 110, GMHBA, Geelong, quite good favourites. Got to go with them again. Bailey Sniff had quite a quiet game this past weekend, but, and also I believe Jeremy Cameron's kind of got an injury. I guess he's up for a test this week. He wasn't happy with his groin this past weekend. Please get up. Need you for the Coleman, please. I will be going with Geelong. They'll be too strong at home again. St Kilda are a really weird side too this year. They kind of losing comfortably all game against Hawthorn, and then they come out and be super competitive against Sydney. So I'm really confused on what to do with them. Last time earlier in the year, St Kilda was able to hold on against Geelong and come out with a victory at the Marvel. So they've probably got some confidence in this game, but I'm definitely going to be going with Geelong here.
Yeah, Geelong for me as well. Their head-to-head since the AFL started 50-23. So Geelong have certainly got the wood over them over the last 25 odd years. Recent history though is only 6-4 to Geelong, but you've got to go back to 1999 since St Kilda won it at Geelong. This is a long time ago. It's about 13-0. So I can't see them winning this weekend either. So it'll be 14-0 or whatever that record is. So Geelong to win this weekend.
It's an interesting stat you brought up about how Geelong have got a pretty monstrous advantage over the one head-to-head since the AFL started. I'd actually wouldn't mind looking up St Kilda's head-to-head with all the teams and seeing if they
versus anyone.
Yeah, I was just thinking I wouldn't put much money on them having positive head-to-heads with many teams. I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, right.
Collingwood versus Fremantle, halfway through that game, starting at the MCG, 3:15 p.m. here in Melbourne. Collingwood coming off they got kind of bullied in a way against Gold Coast this past weekend. So watching with our Collingwood fanatic Josh, he wasn't too happy with it, and I can understand why. I mean, they did come back in that last quarter. They kicked a lot of goals in that last quarter, but I felt the majority of that game, Gold Coast were bullying them around the midfield, clearance after clearance, in those centre clearances. Just looked really good. So I feel like we'll get a bit of a bounce back this week from Collingwood, especially at home. Now, Fremantle, again, this is one of those 50-50 games for them where they want to play finals. I think that they have to be able to sneak away victories. I just don't think they're going to be able to do too many of them, especially at the MCG against Collingwood. So Collingwood for me.
Yeah, Collingwood for me as well. There's a few reasons why. Collingwood weren't that flash last week, so I'd expect a bounce back for them. And I know Fremantle won, but I think Hawthorn were pretty good for 2 to 3 quarters of that game. It was just that last quarter they kicked 4 goals to 0, in which they won. Hawthorn I thought they had pretty much control of the game except for that last quarter. So if they give Collingwood control of 3 quarters of the game, they'll be 40 points behind going to the last quarter. So being away from home, I don't trust Fremantle away from home. They haven't beaten Collingwood since 2019 at the MCG. It's like a 4 and a draw, I think, at the venue. So for all those reasons, yeah, I'll go for Collingwood to win.
One to watch for everyone watching that is the third quarter. Just want to make a note. Both teams, their best quarters are the third quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, Collingwood with a percentage in third quarters of over 200. which is
Wow.
phenomenal. Fremantle's is quite high comparatively. They have over 150% in third quarters. Yeah, got to watch out for them. Could be a bit of a goal fest in that third term, the Premiership quarter, as they call it.
As they say, yeah.
And to finish us off, we have Adelaide versus Gold Coast in Adelaide. Up the Crom, we'll definitely be streaming this one. This one will have my full undivided attention. Look, I'm going to go with Adelaide. I think they need to get revenge off the reverse fixture from earlier in the year, the 1 point controversial win. So I also feel I've got a bit of confidence out of this past weekend, Uncle. Throughout most of the year, I've been pretty, I don't know about Adelaide, but a win against the Bulldogs away from home, I think that's what I've been really waiting for, is just an away victory against another finals contender. Gold Coast are really, really good, but at home. So we'll see how they go away. I think this will be a really good matchup. And it'll just come down to which team can really apply the most pressure. I think last time pressure numbers were quite high for most of the game. So I think that's what Adelaide has been pretty good at for most of the year is good pressure. Obviously, number 2 scoring and number 2 defence as well. So we'll see how Gold Coast can match up in an away game. So Adelaide.
Yeah, Adelaide for me. I think if you look at form sides over the past 4 weeks, I think Adelaide are probably first or second. Consistently form side over that 5 week period. Collingwood's drop off last week has probably seen them drop off a bit. I think Adelaide look really strong. They look like they've got a finals brand of football. So yet again, another test for Gold Coast. They've passed all their tests this year, so they're doing everything right to make you think they're a genuine chance. But Adelaide at home, I think they look far too good when they play at home. So we'll go for Adelaide, yeah, for sure.
Well, there you have it, everybody. That is our tips and predictions for this current week coming up, round 19. If you want to join us live for some live streams of the footy, we will be streaming Thursday and Friday nights, where we chat and talk a bunch of shit about footy whilst the game is on. So if that's for you, you're more than welcome to join us. We stream right here on YouTube. And then just make sure that
we do talk a lot of shit.
So. we do talk a lot of shit. But make sure that you're subscribed with notifications on, because Saturdays and Sunday games aren't always guaranteed. So make sure you got that on so you know when we're going live, and come and join the fun, basically. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Look after yourselves. Bye.
See you later.